In this video, we're going to create a scrollable frame in Python Tkinter. The starter code here creates a 500 by 500 root window for our project. The scrollable frame is going to consist of a couple of different widgets, so the first we're going to start with is the frame widget. We're going to create a scrollable frame class and have it inherit from the frame widget. Next, we're going to give it an init function and pass in self and a parent widget. Then we're going to call the super init function, pass in the parent, and give it an optional background color just to make it easier to see. Now we're going to initialize the scrollable frame inside of the if statement underneath our root while making sure we pass the root in as the parent. Finally, we're going to call its pack method to display the scrollable frame. You want it to completely fill and expand within its parent. So we set fill equal to both and expand equal to 1. So now if we run the code, you should see your pink scrollable frame inside of the Tkinter root window. Now our scrollable frame needs a canvas, so back inside of the class, we're going to create a canvas widget. We'll make its parent the scrollable frame and make its background green. Then we'll display it using the pack method. It's going to be on the left side of the scrollable frame, so we set side equal to left. And if we run the code, you should now see your green canvas on top of your pink scrollable frame. Next, we're going to initialize a scrollbar inside of the class. We'll set its command to self.canvas.yView. The command tells the scrollbar what widget to scroll and in what direction. Finally, we're going to display the scrollbar on the right side, making sure it completely fills up the vertical or Y space. And then if we run the code again, you just see your scrollbar on the right side of your canvas. Now we're going to add an additional frame to the class and make the canvas its parent. Next, we'll display the frame onto the canvas by using its create window method. The 0, 0 is where we want to place the frame on the canvas, and the anchor determines which part of the frame is at that position. You want to make sure that the scrollable frame is always the same width as the canvas, so we're going to add a binding to the canvas. Whenever the canvas's configuration changes, we're going to run the resize frame method. Now we're going to create that method and pass an event as none. Then we're going to get the canvas's width. Finally, we're going to use that to update the scrolling frame's width. And then if you run the code, it may be hard to see, but at the very top is our scrolling frame. It's yellow right here. We'll use this line to physically update the scroll bar. So if you're at the start of the content that's inside of your scrollable frame, the scroll bar will be at the top. The opposite is true if you're at the end of the content. The scroll bar should be at the bottom. The size of the scroll bar changes also. If you have a lot of content, the scroll bar will be small. If you have a little bit of content, the scroll bar will be big. So now we're going to run the code. And as you can see here, the scroll bar is completely disabled because there is nothing inside of our scrollable frame here. Each time you add or remove content from the scrolling frame, you have to update the canvas's scroll region. So we'll also add a binding to the scrolling frame. Inside the update scroll region, we'll call canvas.config and set its scroll region. Self.canvas.boundingbox_all gets the total area that all the widgets inside of the canvas take up, so we know how much the canvas should be able to scroll. Final step is to add content to the scrollable frame. So we'll use a for loop to add 30 labels. When initializing the label, we have to make sure we pass in the scrolling frame as the parent. Finally, we'll use pack to display the labels. And if you run the code, your scrollable frame should be populated with about 30 labels, and we should be able to scroll up and down. Alright, so that's the end of the video, and thank you for watching.